There comes a moment in life when you realize not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion needs your reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting. Learn to act as if nothing bothers you. Not because you don't care, not because you're weak, but because you've learned the art of emotional discipline, the power to protect your peace. People will test you. Life will hit you. Circumstances will rise like storms to shake your ground. But what separates the strong from the scattered is the ability to stay centered, to walk through chaos as if the wind has no power over your soul. When someone insults you, smile, not out of arrogance but out of mastery. When you're misunderstood, stay silent, because sometimes your presence speaks louder than your defense. When you've been hurt, betrayed, left behind, don't react. Respond. And sometimes the best response is no response at all. Emotional control is one of the greatest powers a person can develop. It's not about suppressing how you feel, nor is it about pretending to be unaffected by life's challenges. It's about choosing your response, even when your emotions are screaming for reaction. In a world where people are quick to lash out, quick to complain, quick to defend themselves over every little comment or action, the person who can stay calm, who can remain centered, is the person who rises above. When something triggers you, your natural instinct is to react. Anger flares, your heart races, and you want to fight back. That's biology. That's survival instinct. But here's the truth: reacting emotionally in every situation does more harm than good. When you let anger, frustration, or fear take the wheel, you give your power away. You hand control over to whoever or whatever disturbs your peace. You become a puppet of your emotions. But emotional control is different. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. It's recognizing your triggers, feeling your emotions fully, but not letting them dictate your behavior. It's that pause, that split second between emotion and action that makes all the difference. In that moment, you can choose wisdom over impulse. You can choose clarity over chaos. You think about the most respected leaders, the most influential thinkers, the most successful individuals you admire. One thing they often share is their ability to remain calm under pressure. They can be in a room full of negativity, criticism, or even chaos, and still carry themselves with grace. They don't let their surroundings control their state of mind. Why? Because they've mastered their emotions. They trained themselves not to respond to every insult, not to react to every minor inconvenience, and not to take everything personally. This kind of strength isn't built overnight. It's built through conscious effort, through patience, through failure and reflection. You learn it in moments where you want to explode, but choose to breathe instead. You gain it in situations where walking away feels weak, but is actually the wisest move. You grow in emotional control every time you choose peace over petty. Every time you respond with silence instead of shouting, you reinforce your strength. There's a difference between reaction and response. A reaction is immediate, emotional, and often regrettable. A response is thoughtful, intentional, and wise. Emotional control gives you the space to respond. It gives you the ability to lead, to think clearly, and to stay focused on your purpose. It allows you to be the thermostat in the room, not the thermometer. While others reflect the heat of the moment, you regulate the emotional temperature. You lead by example. Also, emotional control is crucial for your mental health. If you're constantly reacting to the world, you're constantly drained. You're always in survival mode. But when you control your emotions, you protect your energy. You stay grounded. You stop letting small things ruin your day. You stop living for external approval. You stop taking everything personally. You create space for growth, for gratitude, for clear-headed decision-making. In relationships, emotional control builds trust. People feel safer around you because they know you won't explode over little things. In business, it builds credibility. Clients and colleagues respect those who don't buckle under pressure. In your personal life, it builds self-respect. You start to admire your own ability to stay composed, to choose dignity over drama, to rise above. That's why acting as if nothing bothers you isn't pretending, it's practicing power. It's telling yourself, I could react right now, but I'm stronger than that. I could waste my energy on this, but I choose not to. time, this becomes second nature. You begin to notice how much more peaceful your life becomes when you're not emotionally tied to every opinion, every comment, every negative situation. So, no, it's not about being cold or emotionless. It's about being wise. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't let nonsense shake your spirit. It's about keeping your eyes on your vision, your feet grounded in your values, and your emotions in alignment with your goals. That's real strength. That's real power. And that's how you take control of your life one calm, intentional choice at a time. Not everything deserves your energy. That simple truth can change the entire direction of your life. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, pokes at your emotions, and pressures you to react, learning to be selective with your energy is one of the most powerful disciplines you can master. Every day you're faced with distractions, arguments that aren't worth having, opinions that don't matter. People exist only to provoke a reaction. If you respond to all of them, you'll end up emotionally exhausted, mentally scattered, and spiritually depleted. You only have so much energy in a day. Think of it like currency. If you spend it recklessly, you'll run out before you've invested in what truly matters. You've got dreams to chase. You've got peace to protect. You've got goals that require your focus and battles that are actually worth fighting. So why waste your time and energy on things that don't serve your growth? When someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone posts something petty on social media, when someone disrespects you out of their own insecurity, you have a choice. You can let it enter your mind and dominate your mood, or you can let it pass like a cloud in the sky. It's not about being passive. It's about being wise enough to know what deserves a response, what deserves your silence. Many people walk around constantly on edge because they haven't learned this lesson. They give everything their energy. They argue over every comment. They defend themselves to everyone who questions them. They carry the weight of every insult, every slight, every misunderstanding. And in doing so, they sabotage their own peace. But when you decide that not everything deserves your energy, you reclaim your power. You become more intentional. You start focusing on what actually matters: your health, your relationships, your purpose, your future. You begin to understand that your energy is sacred. It's the fuel behind everything you want to achieve, and you can't afford to waste it on things that won't matter a week from now, let alone a year. It's easy to get drawn into drama. It's easy to want to defend your then one of your choices, your character. But often the people who try to drag you into those battles aren't worth the fight. They're distractions. And the truth is, people who are secure in themselves don't need to explain or justify everything they do. Let people misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them make their assumptions. If they don't have the maturity to ask, they don't deserve your explanation. When you stop reacting to every little thing, you become unpredictable in the best way. People who seek to control or provoke you lose their grip. They can't manipulate someone who doesn't take the bait. Your refusal to engage in trivial conflict sends a powerful message. I value my peace too much to be pulled into your chaos. Protecting your energy also means setting boundaries not just with others, but with yourself. It's about learning when to disengage, when to turn off the noise, when to say no without guilt. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every conversation deserves your voice. Not every situation deserves your presence. Saying no doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to protect your time and energy for what truly matters. As you grow in life, you'll notice a shift. You'll stop craving to be right all the time. You'll stop needing everyone's approval. You'll stop entertaining things that once bothered you. Why? Because your energy will be redirected toward your purpose, toward your healing, toward your dreams. You'll become more interested in building than bickering, more committed to growth than gossip, more focused on peace than proving a point. That's what maturity looks like. That's what self-respect feels like. You become less reactive and more reflective. You don't run from every challenge, but you don't invite unnecessary conflict either. You choose where your energy goes, and you invest it with intention. So remember this: your energy is a limited resource. Every time you give it away to something meaningless, you're stealing it from something meaningful. Learn to pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my time? Is this helping me grow? If the answer is no, let it go. Move on. Your future, your peace, and your purpose are far too important to be compromised by things that don't deserve your energy. Let others waste their power chasing distractions. You stay focused, stay grounded, stay unbothered. Because you know where you're going and nothing is worth slowing you down. Silence is one of the most underrated powers you can develop. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, where noise fills every moment, and where people rush to prove their point, silence stands out. It's not weakness, it's not avoidance. Silence, when used intentionally, is strength, is strategy, is discipline. It's the loudest statement you can make without saying a word. We've been conditioned to believe that we always need to respond. That if someone disrespects us, we must clap back. If someone misunderstands us, we must explain ourselves. If someone challenges us, we must defend. But sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you realize that not every situation deserves your voice. When you're silent, you're not giving in. You're rising above, you're choosing your battles. You're preserving your energy for what truly matters. Anyone can react. That's easy. But holding your tongue, that takes strength. That takes wisdom. That takes a deep understanding of yourself and your purpose. Silence is often mistaken for weakness by the insecure. They want to provoke you. They want to pull you into a fight, a debate, or an emotional mess so they can feel in control. But when you don't react, when you hold your peace, it drives them crazy because they realize they don't have power over you. Your silence exposes their noise. Your calm exposes their chaos. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk over you. It means you choose when to speak and when to stay still. It means you don't argue just to argue. You don't explain yourself to those who have already made up their minds. You don't waste your voice on those who have no interest in understanding you. Your silence is not a retreat, it's a message I know worth, and I won't lower myself to match your energy. Think about the moments in life when your silence did more than any words could. The times you didn't retaliate, and your silence spoke volumes. The times you didn't beg, didn't chase, didn't defend, because you knew the truth would reveal itself in time. That kind of silence is powerful. It's not passive. It's calculated. It's rooted in self-control and trust in your path. Silence also creates space for reflection, for clarity, for growth. When you stop talking, you start listening. Not just to others, but yourself. You begin to hear your intuition again. You begin to think clearly without the noise of ego or emotion clouding your judgment. In silence, you reconnect with your purpose. You calm the storm inside you and remember what really matters. In relationships, silence can heal or reveal. Sometimes people show you who they are when you stop engaging. They reveal their true intentions when you stop feeding the connection. If someone's only interested in your energy when you're arguing or defending, your silence will expose that. It forces people to face their own behavior instead of deflecting it onto you. In conflict, silence can be disarming. While others escalate, you de-escalate. While they shout, you observe. While they try to get a reaction, you give them a boundary. You're not avoiding the issue, you're approaching it with maturity. When you do choose to speak, your words carry weight because you don't throw them around carelessly. People listen more when you speak less, but with purpose. In goals, silence helps you move in silence. Not every dream needs to be announced. Not every move needs to be explained. Sometimes your best progress happens when no one knows what you're building. You protect your vision from unnecessary opinions and judgment. You let your results speak for you. That's the power of quiet success. Silence teaches patience. It teaches presence. It reminds you that you are in control, not your emotions, not other people, not the situation. You are in control of your response, your focus, your energy. And when you master silence, you master yourself. So the next time someone tries to draw you into drama, stay silent. The next time you're misunderstood, and you know the truth, stay silent. The next time someone wants a reaction out of you, give them none. Let your silence say what your words cannot. Let it declare your strength, your self-respect, your emotional intelligence. Because silence is not empty, it's full of answers. And in a world that shouts, the person who can remain silent not from fear, but from wisdom is the one who truly holds the power. Detachment is often misunderstood. People hear the word and think it means being cold, distant, or uncaring. But real detachment is none of those things. Real detachment is strength, it's clarity. It's the ability to remain centered and calm, no matter what's happening around you. It's not about giving up, it's about letting go of the need to control what you cannot control. When you master detachment, you don't become emotionless, you become emotionally intelligent. You stop allowing every little thing to shake your spirit. The truth is, not everything that happens in life deserves a reaction. Not every comment deserves your defense. Not every situation is meant to be fixed by you. When you're deeply attached to outcomes, to opinions, or to people's validation, you suffer. You ride the emotional roller coaster of highs and lows, constantly trying to hold on to things that were never fully in your hands to begin with. But when you learn to detach, you step off that ride, you stop gripping, you start observing. And from that place of stillness, you become unshakable. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, but you don't lose yourself in the process. You love fully, but you don't cling. You give your best effort, but you let go of the obsession with how things will turn out. You're involved in life, but not owned by it. That balance of presence without possession is where real power lies. When you're detached, you gain a clearer view of reality. You're no longer blinded by fear, desperation, or ego. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop obsessing over the approval of those who don't understand your journey. You stop tying your worth to things that are temporary. Detachment is like cleaning the lens through which you see life. It wipes away the emotional fog. It helps you respond with wisdom rather than vague. People often confuse passion with attachment. But passion can still exist without being attached. You can pursue your goals with fire in your soul and still be at peace with whatever outcome unfolds. That's not indifference, that's mastery. It's knowing that your value isn't dependent on success, failure, or recognition. It's knowing that who you are is not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond. Detachment builds inner strength because it teaches you how to operate from a place of self-respect. You stop begging for love, for attention, for validation. You stop proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you focus on your purpose. You protect your energy. You honor your boundaries. You become someone who doesn't need the world to agree with you in order to feel secure. That kind of strength makes you immune to manipulation and emotional games. In relationships, detachment creates healthier dynamics. When you're attached, you might try to control your partner, fix them, or constantly seek reassurance. But when you're detached, you allow space for both people to grow, to be, to breathe. You realize that love is not possession, it's not control, it's freedom with connection. You give love, but you're not destroyed if it's not returned in the way you expected. You're at peace either way, because your peace comes from within, not from others. In daily life, detachment is the difference between being reactive and being reflective. When something upsets you, your first instinct might be to lash out, to fix, to resist. But detachment teaches you to step back, to breathe, to ask, is this worth my energy? Is this in my control? Does this define me? Most times the answer is no. And in that realization you reclaim your calm. You stop chasing, you stop stressing, and you start living with a quiet confidence. It's important to understand that detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. You still feel deeply. You still care. But your feelings don't own you. You don't drown in them. You observe them. You allow them. You learn from them. And then you release them. That's the essence of emotional maturity. When you detach from the things that once controlled you, you become free. Free from the opinions of others. Free from the fear of failure. Free from the need to always be right. Free from the toxic cycles that once kept you stuck. That freedom allows you to focus on what truly matters: growth, peace, purpose, and authenticity. So learn to detach. Not to escape life, but to fully live it without chains, without emotional chaos, without being thrown off course every time the world doesn't go your way. Because when you master detachment, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you become unstoppable. Calmness is not just a personality trait, it's a form of power. In a world that often glorifies loudness, urgency, and drama, calmness stands out as a quiet, unshakable strength. When you remain calm in the face of pressure, in the heat of chaos, or when others are losing control, you gain a level of respect and influence that noise can never earn. People notice those who stay composed. They gravitate toward individuals who can lead with a steady hand instead of an emotional impulse. Calmness commands respect because it reveals discipline, emotional intelligence, and inner mastery. When you are calm, it doesn't mean you don't care or that you're indifferent. It means that you've learned to manage your emotions rather than let them manage you. It means you've developed the ability to pause before reacting, to assess a situation objectively, and to respond with intention rather than reflex. This self-control gives you the upper hand in nearly every scenario, whether it's a business negotiation, a personal conflict, or a moment of crisis. People often underestimate the power of calmness because it's quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. In a tense room, the calmest person often becomes the most influential. Others look to them for cues. They set the tone without even trying. Their energy stabilizes others. Why? Because calmness is contagious. Just as panic spreads quickly, so does poise. When you keep your composure, you help others find theirs. Calmness shows maturity. It shows that you are not easily rattled, that you are in control of yourself even when things around you are out of control. That kind of presence is magnetic. It builds trust. Whether in leadership or in relationships, people are drawn to those who don't make decisions from a place of emotional chaos. They admire those who don't explode under pressure or fall apart in adversity. Think about it. When was the last time you respected someone who lost their temper easily? When someone constantly reacts, complains, or blames others, it weakens their credibility. On the other hand, when someone faces difficulty with grace, handles criticism without becoming defensive, or listens more than they speak, that's a person who commands attention, not by beyonding it. Calmness also protects your energy. It shields you from being dragged into every emotional storm. It allows you to walk through stressful situations without being consumed by them. That doesn't mean you avoid problems. It means you handle them with clarity and confidence. You become the eye of the storm, the center of stillness in a world spinning with distractions. The truth is, life will constantly test you. People will challenge you. Circumstances will push you. But your ability to remain calm determines how well you navigate those moments. It's not about being passive. It's about being intentional. When you're calm, you think better. You see more clearly. You speak more wisely. You avoid saying things you'll regret. You make decisions from a place of strength, not stress. Developing calmness isn't easy. It requires practice. It requires self-awareness. You have to become mindful of your triggers, your thought patterns, and your habits. You have to train yourself to pause, to breathe, and to respond rather than react. It's a skill, one that gets stronger the more you use it. Start by observing yourself in moments of stress. Pay attention to your body, your heartbeat, your voice. Notice what you tell yourself. Is your internal voice panicked or composed? Train your mind to slow down, to ask questions instead of making assumptions, to focus on solutions rather than problems. Over time, this mental discipline becomes your superpower. Another way to cultivate calmness is through routine. Get enough rest, eat well, exercise, meditate. Create space in your day for stillness. When your life is filled with constant noise and chaos, calmness becomes harder to access. But when you build habits that ground you, calmness becomes your default, not your exception. You'll find that calmness also changes how others treat you. People begin to respect your boundaries more. They value your words more because you don't speak unnecessarily. They admire your ability to remain steady even when others are falling apart. That's influence. That's leadership. And it doesn't require a title. It requires self-control. So let others scream. Let them panic, complain, and overreact. You stay calm. Let your calmness be your armor. Let it be your power. Let it be the reason people trust you, follow you, and look to you for guidance. Because calmness in the end isn't just about you, it's about the impact you have on everyone around you. Staying in control of your emotions is one of the greatest forms of discipline a person can develop. It's not about pretending to be unaffected or bottling everything up until it explodes later. It's about learning to regulate what you feel, understand it, and channel it in a way that serves you rather than sabotages you. Emotions are powerful. They can build or destroy. And if you don't master them, they will master you. People often think strength is shown through reaction, through yelling, crying, retaliating. But true strength is shown through restraint, through being able to feel everything and still choose your response wisely. In any given day, you're confronted with situations that test your patience, trigger your insecurities, or hit your pride. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment. A family member criticizes a choice you made. In those moments, the natural urge is to react, to defend, to attack, to prove something. But when you react without thinking, you give away your power. You allow the external world to control your internal state. Emotional discipline flips the equation. It says, I control how I feel. I decide how I respond. I don't hand that power to anyone. Now think about how much unnecessary damage is caused by emotional impulsiveness. Words said in anger that can't be taken back. Decisions made in panic that lead to regret. Relationships broken because of uncontrolled pride or jealousy. Opportunities missed because of fear. Every time you let your emotions dictate your actions without reflection, you risk long-term consequences for short-term satisfaction. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean ignoring them. It means giving them space to exist without allowing them to drive the car. When you can stay calm while others lose control, you elevate yourself. People notice it. It earns respect. It shows maturity. It shows that you've done the inner work. And it gives you a major advantage in every area of life, at work, in relationships, in conflict, and especially in moments of pressure. Because pressure reveals character. And when your character is rooted in emotional stability, no situation can shake you. To stay in control of your emotions, you must first become aware of them. Emotional awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Before you can regulate your anger, for example, you need to recognize its signs: the tension in your chest, the heat rising to your face, the racing thoughts. The earlier you catch it, the easier it is to manage. The more familiar you become with your emotional patterns, the better you become at intervening before they spiral. Next comes emotional regulation. This is where discipline meets practice. You learn to pause. You learn to breathe. You create space between the emotion and the reaction. That space is where your power lies. That's where you ask yourself, what outcome do I want here? What version of me do I want to show up right now? Will reacting emotionally help or hurt? Just asking those questions helps you shift from being reactive to being intentional. Sometimes staying in control means walking away, not out of weakness, but because protecting your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Other times it means speaking firmly but calmly, not because you're suppressing your feelings, but because you've learned how to express them with clarity and respect. Emotionally disciplined people don't avoid conflict, they handle it with wisdom. It's important to understand that emotions aren't enemies. They are messengers. They reveal what matters to you, what wounds are unhealed, what boundaries need to be set. The goal isn't to eliminate emotion, it's to become the person who can listen to their emotions, emotions are ruled by them. That's balance, that's power, and that's the kind of presence that changes how you move through the world. This discipline also protects your relationships. How many connections have been ruined not because of what happened, but because of how it was handled? A disagreement doesn't have to turn into disrespect. A bad day doesn't have to become a bad attitude toward those around you. When you are in control of your emotions, you break the cycle of reaction-based living. You bring stability into chaos. You create safety in communication. When people learn they can trust you, not just your words, but your energy. It won't always be easy. You'll be tested. You'll be tempted to react. You'll You'll have moments where you want to scream, slam the door, walk away from everything. But those are the moments that build you. Every time you choose control over chaos, you get stronger. Every time you resist the urge to lash out and instead respond with calm confidence, you become more powerful. So commit to mastering your emotions, not just for others, but for yourself. Because peace is found not in the absence of emotion, but in the presence of control. And when you can feel everything deeply, but still move through the world grounded and composed, that's not just strength, that's freedom.